Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. Now I sound really echoey.
You sound so echoey. You sound like you're in a tunnel.
Oh, God. I'm going to have to put that thing over me again. This is very boring. I was hoping that I'd fixed it, but no. Hold your horses. Hold your horses, horses, horses.
The thing is, Simon doesn't actually need to pretend to echo. It's just echo.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going in.
Okay, you go in.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
I think I'm recording. I'm recording, which is good.
Hey.
It's a little less echoey, isn't it?
It's a little less echoey.
Is it a little, or is it a... It's not very much.
I mean, I can still hear like 7 of you.
Really?
It's very cute. Yeah. Really? It's great. I just love imagining you in this, like... It feels like you're in... You're in something like that is
Logan's
absolutely
Run.
No, just cavernous. It feels like you're in somewhere like sepulchral and huge. And I know you're just in an empty flat, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's true. I think there's something about, marble floor, really, and empty walls.
I mean, you listen to yourself. I've got marble floor.
I know.
You're such a fancy pants,
I
aren't
am
you?
so fancy. And you know what?
You're so fancy. Go on, what?
It's true. You know what happened yesterday for the first time in my life?
No, what happened? What?
I went into I don't know what you call it, I guess a kitchen store. And the guy, whose name I forget, spoke with a very thick accent and used lots of numbers, which is just
it's a tricky one, isn't it?
Fuck, numbers. Yeah. Numbers, you realise how abstract numbers are when you try and listen to them in another language, you know. And we sat there, and he scanned the design of the floor plan of the house and then measured it all, and then we slowly, over the course of an hour and a half, Lee Miller, built a kitchen. And I know people are thinking, this is what happens and this is what people do, and what's so crazy about that? But oh my God, it was just so strange. The whole thing was so strange. And then I had a sort of 3D model of the kitchen that we'd been planning. and then the best bit was the sting in the tail was the handing over of the preventivo, the quote. And he goes, "Are you ready for this?" Yeah. And he proceeded to say, "I'm just going to tell you because whatever, 16,000 euros.
For a kitchen?
Yeah, with no appliances.
Okay, that's a little more expensive.
Yeah. And then he said, "But we can do a discount and make it 10." I was thinking, what?
What's the rationale for the discount? Because he liked your face?
Nah, no idea. At one point he said, we've got a particular idea for where to... Because, of course, no one in Italy would ever put a lavatrice, a washing machine, in the
kitchen.
Yeah, and we're not doing that. We're kind of putting it around the back. And it's quite a sneaky use of space. And he goes, siete pazzi, you're crazy.
Oh, so is the expectation that you would put it in the bathroom?
Yeah, absolutely. Or its own room. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, and then, of course, he said, but if you get the appliances through us, then it gets even cheaper still, of course, because they have deals. But then there are only certain brands. So I've done a whole lot of shopping. And the brands I was looking at, they don't have. So I've now got to reshop. It's very boring. This is very boring, Lee Miller.
I mean, I think it isn't I mean, it might be, but I don't care because I'm not finding it boring.
Yeah, but
I'm
an
finding
hour
it
and a
very
half
exciting.
of my life, and I was thinking, wow, that guy's job, that is a boring job.
No, it's not. You think about it. He is building people's dreams for them. That is not boring at all.
Do you think that's what he thinks?
How can you not? You take an empty room and you turn it into something that is going to be at the heart of their home for years to come.
Yeah, but this is the same guy who, in fact, this is all happening, by the way, I couldn't, this is my Italian, no, the vocabulary, see, I wouldn't have this vocabulary in English, right? It was, and so Igor and Moreno were doing all of the, and because they know the plans and know the space very well, so, it was all, and I was going, and then Igor explained to me in Italian, and I was so flustered by it all, I said, no, in English, and this is the same point at which he was kind of sticking an oven, he said to them, and Igor didn't translate this because he said he didn't want to create a firestorm in the building, which was, the guy says, who cares about the oven, just something simple there. and Igor told me later over a Negroni, which I thought was very, very,
very
very thoughtful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think, you see, no, I have to say, I don't think it's boring either as a job. I don't think his is a boring job. Nor do I think it's boring to hear you talk about it, because this is possibly the last kitchen you will ever build, as well as being the first.
I did feel, the funny thing was that he, when we walked in, we already had an idea of exactly the colour, the kitchen. So there was a lot of stuff that he would normally do that he didn't have to decide on. And then Igor said, do you think this has been the simplest preventivo quote you've done today? He goes, by far the most complex. And this is just an L shape. But I think it was because we were being very particular. So we instead of starting with colour and the make, we started with fucking maniglia, which are the handles. Like, what kind of handles do you want?
It's a great place to start.
It's a great place to start. But the minutiae, Lee Miller. And I'm not a great shopper. I don't, even in my, non-internet days, I'd get very tired very quickly of being out shopping. And this really challenged me, I have to say.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've seen you spend a long time figuring out what amount of RAM you need.
Yeah.
So, it's kind of like that. That is something that, honestly, I would, if somebody were to say to me, you can have all your fingernails pulled out, or you can spend the rest of the day building a computer, I'd be like, take them out, take the toes as well.
Yeah, and I would, I know, I get you. But also, this is something I'm really interested in. Like, it's really exciting, and but it was a bit overwhelming as well.
Of course, it is overwhelming because you're doing it in a second language, which is a challenge.
Oh my God! I mean, it wouldn't have. I don't know. It wouldn't have been able to. I don't think it would have been able to happen. I think Lil would have survived it because she just knows so much of these kind of different kinds of. Just even what if I were to describe. It's not like that. It's a little bit more like this, and you just have to put it around the side. No, a little bit further back. Oh my God! No fucking way could I do that. That's hard,
It's so interesting because me and Bob, our Portuguese is significantly less competent than your Italian. Significantly less competent.
We don't really know that. Comparisons are a little bit tricky in that way.
No.
There's an assumption there, isn't there?
No, we know that. You've been learning you've been learning Italian for a really long time. And
I should be a lot better than I am, let me tell you.
Well, given that we've had a house in Lisbon since 2018, we should be fluent by now, but we're really not. Yeah. When anybody comes around the house to do work, I find myself like laying hands on them and guiding them to what I want them to do. I'm just like putting my hands on their hands and like going, no, like this.
And do you ask for consent in Portuguese or not?
No. I don't have time to worry about that. I just have to know, it's over here.
Fuck consent when I've got a problem with my house.
Exactly. I need you to fix this. This is what I want you to do. And I don't have the words. And everybody that we've had to come and do work on our house has been, honestly, the kindest, gentlest souls and not a stick of English.
Yeah.
And to make things more complicated, I think probably 75% of the people that have been in our house doing work have either been French, lol, because my French is significantly worse than my Portuguese. I can just about ask for an umbrella.
Which is handy if you've got a leaky roof, frankly.
Exactly.
If you had a leaky roof for 2 years, it's really handy.
I mean, yeah. Oh, don't even get me started.
There's
on
a
the fact
coda.
There's another leak.
Oh no.
Yeah. Well, don't worry about it. It's just that this is now, anybody listening to this is just thinking this is the single most boring thing because now Lee's started to bang on about houses. But there has, climate change is real.
No, it's not.
Well, anybody who thinks that climate change isn't real, I want you to go, well, I wish you could go back in time and spend all of March in Portugal. It has been, the rain has been torrential, the wind has been insane.
Oh, really?
I mean, yeah, really bad.
It sounds like weather to me, not climate.
No, this is, Simon, it's been so bad. And it's blown off some edging tiles on our roof and we were away and it kind of, nobody knew. But it was okay. It was just a slow leak, so it's just a damp patch and it's getting fixed, so it's not a big deal. But
right.
It's really not a big deal at all. Yeah. But yeah, I was just thinking about that. Anyway,
so they're all French. They're all French. They come and
they're all
fix it
French
and
or Brazilian. So when my Portuguese, actually, sometimes it's quite useful to have somebody who's a Brazilian Portuguese speaker because the Brazilian Portuguese is a little bit easier to understand than Portuguese. So that's great. But there are words that differ. Anyway, I think it's very, very exciting that you're having all of this happen.
It's and it's just little things like it's very hard for me to imagine. I recognise that I'm not so good. Well, I've just never had the experience as well of imagining things in spaces. Yes, bodies, I guess you might say, but. And so just looking at it and trying to visualize it. And then he did a sort of 3D thing and you were kind of like being able to move around it. And then he could push the button and all the doors of all the things would open. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Boy, it was a long time. And I don't know what else to say other than
I'm gonna pull back. Yeah, well, of course it does, but I'm gonna pull back from the minutiae of choosing door handles, which I genuinely could talk about all day. Fascinating. I want to pull back from the minutiae of door handles, and I want to ask you about. You are now a week in to being a person, and it's less about being a property owner, although that is of course a thing, but it's more about you now have a footprint in a different country. And I know you've moved from New Zealand to Australia and Australia to the UK, and so this is like the fourth landmass you've done it, but it feels that this is kind of like the biggest move because it's like a big cultural shift rather than a nuanced cultural shift. Or am I wrong?
I think it's not. Definitely, the cultural shift is massive, like no question. Also, I've never moved to a country where they have frittelle, which are little fried donuts filled with chocolate or cream. That's an important cultural shift. But the other thing I think which is big is more that it's kind of like the beginning of the end.
Yes. Yeah.
And I mean that. I don't mean that with any sadness or any kind of like that. I don't mean that. I just mean like this is a very clear, beginning to the end of my life. And and that might be 20 years, it might be 25 years, it might be 10, who knows, whatever. But it's that's pretty exciting, I have to say. Like it feels solid. Not the ownership thing, but the being here thing. No. The ownership thing is, the thing I'm liking most is about going around walls and pulling things out and doing things to walls that I've never been able to do before.
Yeah.
I'm going to just take that out and I'm just going to whack that with a hammer. It's been great fun.
Yeah, it's that's quite tangible, isn't it? To be able to go, oh, I've just made a hole in that. That's okay.
I don't have to ask permission. It's exactly. There are holes all over the place. Let me tell you. I've been trying to tap off the marble. You know what's like the skirting board? I guess you would say. There's another word for it. But, and there's a little bit of there's marble along the side, and we're going to be losing some walls that have that. And so I thought, why don't I try and get that marble off so it can be used for parts of the floor that get exposed or whatever like that. And so I've been whacking the hell out of this, and then I've just been breaking marble all over the place.
Have you not got a nice wide chisel?
It needs to be a wide chisel, and I don't have quite a wide enough. Yeah, exactly.
I can imagine the chisel. You need to get yourself to Le Romoulin and buy yourself a nice wide chisel.
Exactly, but I don't even think that, because I think in fact, the geometrist said it's nearly impossible to get them off. So, but it's been fun trying. I've had fun trying, and the noise. You can imagine the echo.
I can. Whoa.
So yeah, that's pretty much it. Although I did have a story about, actually, curiously, well, two things happened. One was that I was walking down the street yesterday and then bumped into friends who were having coffee, and I sat down and had coffee with them, and I just thought, oh my God, I love that. And I said to them, I just love that I've just walked past and you happen to be here, and now we're, So there's something about the smallness of the city and the sort of sense of already knowing people here. And then the other thing that happened, which I thought was a little bit related to you not asking for consent for those French people and Brazilian people in your house, was that I was walking down the street, and I looked around to my left, and there was a man right there basically trying to overtake me, and I got a little bit of a start. I did a little bit of a start because I was surprised that he was right there. Yeah. And then I said, "Oh, mi scusi," and he said the same thing. And then he took my arm just above the elbow and gave it a little squeeze, and then went past, smiling. And I reckon he was a little bit younger than me, very dapper, much more dapper. I'm the least dapper person in the entire city, as you can imagine.
Oh, we are putting a pin in that, and we are coming back to that.
I know, and I've got a real problem. I've got a real problem tonight with my lack of dapperness as well. But
right, we're coming back to that.
I thought, motherfucker, you didn't ask my consent. Of course I didn't think that. I thought, wow, what a beautiful, beautiful gesture. He actually took my arm, he squeezed it, like it was almost a kind of we know each other very well, and here's a little squeeze to say, I recognize you, I see you. It was so beautiful, Lee Miller. It was so beautiful. And I did think, that would never happen in the United Kingdom.
It's interesting, isn't it? I think I might be answers on a postcard. I think I might be a little more handsy than I thought I was.
Oh, I think you are, Lee Miller.
Yeah, I was on the train coming home from work on Thursday.
It's a good show title too, just to be clear. Yeah,
a little bit handsy than I thought I was.
Yeah.
So I was on the train, and I was on the train because this week has been interviewing postgraduate candidates, like literally 9 to 5 in rooms, actually physical rooms, interviewing multiple students for next year's, this September's intake. So as you can imagine, quite complicated, and I'm in all of them. So the other panel sort of swim in and out because they are bringing subject expertise, etc. But I'm there as a constant.
Yeah.
Which means I'm responsible for spreadsheets and scoring and all of that sort of stuff. And I was on the train. I had my laptop on one tray table in front of me, and I had my iPad on the tray table of the seat next to me. So I'm typing across both of these machines, and I'm like writing on one spreadsheet and I'm doing the other. And I got into Plymouth from Falmouth, so it's like, I've been on the train now for probably an hour and a half. Ooh. And I've got about another
20 minutes
probably. Yeah, about that, maybe a touch more. And I was like, okay, so I could just try and finish off this spreadsheet, which I didn't, because at Plymouth apparently there'd been delayed trains beforehand because of, very sadly, there'd been a fatality on the line earlier on in the day. Very sad, but that meant there was a lot of people got onto this train, which very rarely has people come onto it. But like, the entire carriage went from having maybe 10 people on it to being absolutely
packed,
full to capacity.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm not going to get away with having both of these seats. I'm going to have to fold up and make myself small. So I made myself small, and then this person sits next to me, and it's a former colleague. So somebody who I knew relatively well, but not like we were not intimate. And I realised that as I was talking to him, I kept like patting his knee and stroking his arm and squeezing his shoulder. Yeah, I did.
He's probably on a podcast right now going, do you know what? I saw this old colleague. We weren't intimate. And he just kept on touching and patting my knees. And I didn't know what to say to him because could the guy keep his fucking hands off me?
I realised how delighted I was to see him. And I just wanted to like, it's like, I felt like Winnie the Pooh. No, I felt like Piglet. No, Piglet. I think it's Piglet. You know, there's a point in one of the stories where Piglet sits next to Winnie the Pooh, or maybe it's Winnie the Pooh who says it to Piglet. I can't remember which way around. And one says to the other, "I just wanted to be sure of you." And I think it's such a beautiful thing to say. But it was I just was like having such a lovely time. And yeah, so I think I might be closer to squeezy elbow man than buttoned up English man. We've been talking for half an hour, which means that we are up to time, but I do have to just come back to the notion of dapperness. I took receipt of a... Please don't judge everybody. I took receipt of another coat yesterday.
Oh my God. This basically, we've got a podcast which is about you and your coats.
I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful lightweight Mac. Oh, it's a beautiful piece. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it's classic.
I've never used the word piece to describe an item of clothing.
And this is where you're going wrong. So it's this is why you're not dapper.
That's why I'm echoing, laughing.
So it's beautiful. It's like, you know, a traditional sand-coloured Mac, and the lining, it's got this gold sheen to it. It's fucking beautiful. You're not going to be surprised to find out that it was made by Painter. Anyway, that's not the purpose of the conversation here, except I feel very swishy and beautiful when I wear it. Yeah. But I noticed that your favourite brand, Volbach...
It's not my favourite brand at all. I haven't bought anything from them in years, so just to be clear.
But they have released a lovely Sashiko stitched jacket that I just thought would be so good on you. And I thought, right, I'm going to tell Simon that he is going to have to up his sartorial game, and this allows you to have that moment between, and I think you need a transitional moment, between technical clothing and something which people want to look at.
Nice challenge, Lee Miller. I think I'm living in the right city to make that happen.
Yes. Get that piece and build a whole wardrobe around it. I want you to start
Is that the kind of black one with white stitching, is it? Or is it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. So I want you to, first of all, I need you to soften the silhouette of your trouser.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
So you wear trousers that are slightly too fitted at this point. Just slightly. I need you to soften the silhouette out. I need there to be a little bit more room in the thigh and the shin area. I don't need them to be baggy, but I need a little bit more volume because that's just going to give a more sophisticated
This is Queer Eye for a straight
shape.
guy right now.
We just call it Queer Eye now. We don't need to say for a straight guy.
I know.
I'm just saying. Also, we need to talk about shoes.
I'm embarrassed. Now you're embarrassing. Now I'm starting to feel a little shamed.
No. This is a thing that I'm not shaming you. You're a beautiful man, and the thing that makes me cross about you is you've got a fabulous physique and you're not showing it up to the best of its advantage. You're in the perfect place to be linen. Oh, I mean, yeah. Right.
Okay. I'm going to. Yeah, we should go shopping.
Okay.
Where should we do that? We should go somewhere in London one time when you're there.
Yeah. Okay.
Or should it be local?
As in local to you in
Or local
Sardegna?
to you in Portugal, or local to me in Sardegna.
Maybe we should go shopping in 3 places.
What a good idea. In one day. We can take Concorde.
I love
like
Concord.
Phil Collins in 1985 at Live Aid when he went from Wembley to Philadelphia.
Yeah. Let's do it.
In the air tonight, baby.
See you on Concord, kiddo.
See ya.
Bye.